Research just did an analysis of the middle class in the United States, and they found out that for the first time, the middle class is actually the minority in the U.S. The beginning of 2015 saw 120.8 million adults living in middle-class homes compared to 121.3 million Americans living in lower and upper income households. So you look at that graphic and you think, oh, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe some people in the middle class made it up to the wealthy status. That's not the case. The 21st century has seen middle-income Americans fall behind financially. The median income of middle-income households fell by 4% between 2000 and 2014, while median wealth, assets minus debts fell 28% in 2001 and 2013. So this is an ongoing theme in the U.S. Wages are obviously stagnant. They've been stagnant for quite a while now. But for the first time, the middle class is not the majority, it's the minority.
So think about why people are disaffected in this country. So a lot of people in the halls of power really don't understand it. I know it because I go to Washington all the time, I go to New York all the time, San Francisco all the time. And so this is filled with people who are wealthy and powerful and connected. And like I've said it 1,000 times, it doesn't mean they're bad people. And I think the guys I know are really good guys and they're fighting on the right side, right? So don't make blanket assumptions. But even a lot of those guys don't get it because they don't live it. And they're like, well, the stock market's back up. That's what I hear all the time. I don't get it. Like, and in fact, a lot of them are Democrats. They're like, why are people blaming Obama? The stock market's back up. But if you're in the middle class, not a lot of your money's in the stock market. That's just a fact. So, well, okay, if your middle income household fell, your median income fell by 4% in 14 years, instead of going up at all, it went down. Well, you'd have this visceral reaction like, wait a minute, I'm working just as hard. Maybe now my wife is working, we've got two incomes, and oftentimes we're working harder, but I'm making less money. What the hell's going on here? And then when you talk about their wealth instead of their income, that fell by 28% between 2001 and 2013. They were supposed to get richer as they worked harder, and instead they got poorer.
Yeah, the problem.
Well, then of course, can you see why they're angry? Of course they're angry.
So Cenk, why is this happening?
Because we're taxing these corporations too much. And what we need to do is stop taxing them so much so the money will trickle down to their employees.
Okay, so there's a great number of reasons why. So, of course, I think the primary reason is the system's rigged. And so the first thing you do in rigging a system is you fix the rules. Because the rest is easy once you fix the rules on your behalf. And how do you fix the rules? The first rule you fix is, who are the ones passing the laws? The politicians. Well, they're going to make incredibly important decisions about your tax rates, first of all. So the minute they lower your taxes by a little bit, you're going to save millions of dollars if you're in the upper bracket. If they lower them a lot, some of them are going to save billions of dollars. So whoa, okay. So how do I get control over the people making the laws? Oh, I got it. I'll make them reliant on me. So if I do private financing of politicians, well, then they'll be dependent on their financiers, and that's me. So I give them $10, they give me $100 in tax cuts. I give them another $10, they give me $100 or $1,000 in deregulation, whether it's Wall Street deregulation or it's deregulation that affects the media.
Or a tax break to send a job overseas to someone who does it cheaper.
Or they just flat out give me tax subsidies like the oil companies. Hey, I'm the richest companies in the world. Who cares? Give me an extra $40 billion a year in subsidies. Take it from those suckers that are the middle class. Hey, who do you work for? Who signs your paychecks? I do, right? Without me, you can't get elected. I sign the checks that go into your campaign, the independent expenditures, the dark money, etc. And they go, oh, absolutely, sir. Yes, sir. They fix the system to rob you, and they have robbed you. See, here it is. You lost 28% of your money. You know where it went? It went to the guys who fixed the rules. They didn't fix the rules for their health. They didn't fix the rules for liberty. They fixed it so they could rob you of your money, and they did.
Some of those rules that they fix also make it harder for you to organize as a union, right? Because so this, what we saw Scott Walker do in Wisconsin, take the union away from the public employees, take it away from teachers, and that hurt. That was one way that workers could get their piece of the pie. They could organize, so we can now demand that we get some of the profits that we're actually generating. Well, now we've taken that away, right? And it's not only the union worker that gets benefited by an easier country to organize in, but it's non-union people, that because the union sets the wage rate, and then other people, other private companies match that, even if they don't have union workers. So that's another way that they've rigged the system. They make it harder for the worker who's working to organize.
And last thing I would say is what Cenk has said and laid it out very clearly is something that's not party specific, of course. It applies to Democrats and Republicans and anybody, so it applies to big politics and smaller politics as well. But that's why, and everybody watching TYT is aware of this, but that's why you really need a real change in the system.
Yeah, and to Jimmy's point, a Republican congressman, I think it was Don Young, they asked him, hey, what do you think about increasing the minimum wage? He's like, those guys should get a job instead. No, but they do have a job.
It's incredible.
That's why they're being paid a wage. So because now if you're poor, you're middle class, he doesn't care about you. Again, I don't have it in front of me exact congressman it was. This is from memory. But it was a Republican congressman, and because he doesn't need you. All he needs is the money from the donors, because then he's going to use that money to buy political advertising that's going to trick you. What is a political ad going to say? Hey, I'm giving all the money to the rich? No, it's going to say freedom, liberty, right? I'm fighting to shrink government down that's oppressing you. I'm for freedom and liberty. When he means shrink government down, they mean shrink the taxes of the Koch brothers and all the others. And look, and so we fight to get money out of politics so you can stop getting robbed. We're not like the lunatics on the right who are like, get angry and then do something physical or violent, right? No. We're progressives. So we fight strong and hard, but we do it the American way. We do it through politics. We go get up, but we don't sit on our couch, okay? We're warriors. We're political warriors. We get up, and we fight back, and we get our rights back so that we can live as, human beings that actually should get paid a wage for the jobs that we actually do and not be insulted by people saying, if you're a minimum wage guy, you're a bum, you should get a job. I guess it means a second job because you're not working hard enough. Get back into the coal mines.
There's no reason why a full-time employee in the U.S., the most wealthy country in the world, should need government assistance or should struggle to put food on his or her family's table. There's no reason why.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason why is because the system is rigged. This Pew Research Center, I think one of the most interesting things that they found out was that the biggest winners, they say, since the 70s in the economy are those over 65, that their poverty rate has fallen from 24.6% in 1970 to just 10% in 2014, in contrast to younger people whose their poverty rate has gone up. And then you go, why are the people over 65 doing so well? Somebody rigged the system for them? Yeah, that guy's name was LBJ, who instituted Medicare. And instituting Medicare, which is a huge government program, took senior citizens out of poverty. Before Medicare, 33% of senior citizens used to live in poverty. 10 years after, that number was down to 13%. That is a great anti-poverty program. And that's why the people over 65 are no longer in poverty anymore, because we all came together as a country and we decided that, hey, we can give medicine to the people who work their whole life for us and our economy. We can take care of them when they get sick because we're the richest country in the world. And so we do that now.
So the lesson here is you can either set the rules to favor the majority of the country and to protect all of us, because we're the ones setting the rules in a democracy, or you can set the rules to favor only the powerful. And that's the system we live now, which is no longer a democracy. So the way if you publicly finance an election, for example, the Republicans have made that a dirty word, like, they're just taking government and making it bigger, right? No, what that does is that means you work for the people. That's why they're giving you the money. And they're saying, okay, I'm going to give you this much and this much, you this much, and you guys are going to have a fair fight. And then I'm going to decide which one is right and which one is wrong. It's called a democracy. The other way of doing it is, No, one side gets a lot more money as a much larger megaphone, can say whatever they want, right or wrong, and buy all the ads. The other guy can't even be heard. Why? Because the rich support that guy. And guess who he's going to work for? The rich. Of course that's what's going to happen. So let's reset the rules the way they used to be. When we got Medicare, when we got Social Security, and that existed in this country. Between 1940 and 1980, roughly, we had fair domestic policy. We had a policy that was so progressive that Ralph Nader could almost get Richard Nixon to do anything he wanted. He got Nixon to pass the EPA. He got Nixon to pass OSHA. You know why? Because back then we lived in a democracy. We can live in a democracy again, but you got to get up and you got to fight. So wolf-pack.com. We got warriors over here. And you come in here and you join us and you fight back, you'll be shocked at how great it feels. And then when you get the power back and we fix the rules so that it serves America again, well then imagine 20 years later and all of a sudden you hear on the Young Turks from probably other hosts say, hey, look at this, middle class's income has gone up 15% in the last 20 years. What happened? Well, maybe you happened. wolf-pack.com.